Hey everybody, it's me, Audio Bible Lady. I'm back, and I know we took a few weeks off here. I have a sleeping toddler behind me, so we'll see how far we go here, and I'm hoping to be able to get on track here and get through Genesis 15, maybe 16, who knows, we'll see what we can do, because I want to continue on this journey with all of you. Alright, 15, the Lord's covenant promise to Abram. Remember, we were talking about Abram a lot, and Abram had his moment. He's leaving his homelands, and eventually they end up in Egypt. And he's a little nervous because his wife Sarai is very beautiful. So he kind of tries to pull it off that that's his sister instead of his wife, and God sends something to kind of make the Pharaoh, no, take her back and take all the stuff I gave you and go on your way, kind of thing. And then Abram and Lot split off. Lot goes towards Sodom and Gomorrah and gets himself into a jam, and then Abram comes to the rescue. So that's kind of what we've gone through so far, and we're going to pick up from there. It says, sometime later the Lord spoke to Abram in a vision and said to him, "Do not be afraid, Abram, for I will protect you, and your reward will be great." But Abram replied, "O sovereign Lord, what good are all your blessings when I don't even have a son?" So he doesn't even have a kid yet. And he's kind of starting to worry about all these promises that God has shown him for his life, and wondering how they're going to come about without a child, without an heir. So, since you have given me no children, Eleazar and Damascus, a servant in my household, will inherit all my wealth. You have given me no descendants of my own, so one of my servants will be my heir. Then the Lord said to him, "No, your servant will not be your heir, for you will have a son of your own who will be your heir." Then the Lord took Abram outside and said to him, "Look up into the sky and count the stars if you can. That's how many descendants you will have." And Abram believed the Lord, and the Lord counted him as righteous because of his faith. So God's saying, no, I know you don't have a son yet, but you will. And look at all these stars. So next time you're out in the sky and it's nice out and you can see the stars, look up and just kind of imagine what Abram was looking at, and the awe and wonder that must have given him of what the Lord was going to do. Then the Lord told him, "I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you the land of your possession." But Abram replied, "O sovereign Lord, how can I be sure that I will actually possess it?" The Lord told him, "Bring me a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon." So Abram presented all these to him and killed them. Then he cut each animal down the middle and laid halves side by side. He did not, however, cut the birds in half. Some vultures swooped down to eat the carcasses, but Abram chased them away. As the sun was going down, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a terrifying darkness came down over him. Then the Lord said to Abram, "You can be sure that your descendants will be strangers in a foreign land, where they will be oppressed as slaves for 400 years. But I will punish the nation that enslaves them, and in the end they will come away with great wealth. As for you, you will die in peace and be buried at a ripe old age. After 4 generations, your descendants will return here to this land, for the sins of the Amorites do not yet warrant their destruction." After the sun went down and darkness fell, Abram saw a smoking firepot and a flaming torch pass between the halves of the carcass. So the Lord made a covenant with Abram that day and said, "I have given this land to your descendants, all the way from the border of Egypt to the great Euphrates River, the land now occupied by the Kenites, Kenizzites, Kadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Raphites, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites." So God is making a covenant with him, and that was the purpose of the carcasses being cut in half, and then the flame going through. That was God making a covenant with Abram, saying that this will be your land. Thus saith me, and don't argue with God. He has the last and final say. On to verse chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had not been able to bear children for him, but she had an Egyptian servant named Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, "The Lord has prevented me from having children. Go and sleep with my servant. Perhaps I can have children through her." And Abram agreed with Sarai's proposal. This always perplexed me. I don't know about you, but we just read in the chapter before how God showed him his descendants being as many as the stars. Can he count them? No, he can't count them. So he's going to have many. That it seems again suddenly in the very next chapter, his wife's not so sure it's going to be from her. So she's offering her servant to give him a child, and he's okay, kind of thing, which makes me wonder, like, where his head was, then, and how often aren't we like that, where we pray and we ask God, and okay, God, yep, that's what you want me to do, and that does seem big, and it does seem outrageous and impossible, but with you, everything is possible. And then we see this, like, side route that we could take to kind of help God along, and we choose to do that, and I have to laugh at it, because I know I've done it myself. I'm like, wow, why didn't I go to him? Why didn't I say, okay, well, this has been presented before me as something to help your cause. Is this a go or a no, God? And it doesn't seem he asks the Lord's advice on this one and just goes ahead and sleeps with Hagar. And I know I've done that myself, not the sleeping with Hagar kind of thing, not my thing, but, where I've gone and jumped ahead of God's plan and decided, well, I knew best and I didn't need to really consult him because this would help the cause kind of thing. So I want to encourage you, be careful, when God has a plan that he's shown you, to make sure that you're constantly seeking him in each aspect of your life and saying, hey, is this the right way, Lord? Or, this has been put before me. Is this the way that you would have me go? Or would you rather me wait for something better that you have for me? The Lord has, okay. So Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian servant, and gave her to Abram as a wife. This happened 10 years after Abram had settled in the land of Canaan. So Abram had sexual relations with Hagar, and she became pregnant. But when Hagar knew she was pregnant, she began to mistreat her mistress. Treat her mistress, Sarai, with contempt. Then Sarai said to Abram, these always drive me nuts in these early chapters because they're Sarai and Abram instead of Sarah and Abraham, which they are later. Sorry. So I'm like, ah. So Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian servant, and gave him... Okay. I lost my place. There we are. Starting verse 5. Chapter 16. Then Sarai said to Abram, this is all your fault. I put my servant into your arms, but now that she's pregnant, she treats me with contempt. The Lord will show who's wrong, you or me. Abram replied, look, she is your servant, so deal with her as you see fit. Then Sarai treated Hagar so harshly that she finally ran away. I wonder in this, where is Hagar's... I feel bad for her in many senses, because I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, Sarai jumped the gun and she wanted to help God's plan along. Abram was like, hey, yeah, cool, whatever. It works for me. And then where does Hagar fit in all this? And thinking that she was a servant at the time, and I'm not sure what those customs were like. It'd be something that would be interesting probably to dive into and study a little bit more of, I don't really think she had the right to say no. I don't want to do this, but it seems that it's caused embitterment between her and Sarai, and that's really sad. The angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the wilderness along the road to Shur. The angel said to her, Hagar, Sarai's servant, where have you come from, and where are you going? I'm running away from my mistress, Sarai, she replied. The angel of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress and submit to her authority. Then he added, I will give you more descendants than you can count. So he's giving her a hard task. Go back to this person that's treating you harshly, that put you in this position in the first place, with a good attitude. And I'm going to make many descendants for you as well. And I think that's beautiful. And the angel also said, you are now pregnant and will give birth to a son. You are to name him Ishmael, which means God hears, for the Lord has heard your cry of distress. This son of yours will be a wild man, as untamed as a wild donkey. He will raise his fist against everyone, and everyone will be against him. Yes, he will live in open hostility against all his relatives. Thereafter, Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord, who had spoken to her. She said, you are the God who sees me. She also said, "Have I truly seen the one who sees me?" So that well was named, I can't pronounce it, which means well of the living one who sees me. It can still be found in Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar gave Abram son, and Abram named him Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Ishmael was born. And that wraps up our chapter for today. So Abram's finally had a child, but it wasn't quite in the way that God had set it out to be. So let's look forward to see what happens next and what becomes of Ishmael and what becomes of Sarai and Abram. I love you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.